So I think I'm live again. I know that I only have 1.4 thousand followers, and so, it's not like I have 100,000 followers or 5,000 followers or 10,000 followers. But it was recommended that I just start talking about my story and my life. Recently in Oregon, the statute of limitations without DNA was raised from 12 to 20 years. And I know that, my sissy, Danielle Tudor, she's another survivor of victims. Most recently, we've really started to bond, and I really believe that Abba created that between us and restored whatever, because I'm just going to be real with you, that even amongst other survivors, there can be this weird pride and ego shit, where, there's this idea of my story is more important, or my story is whatever. So, and media will pit, survivor against survivor. Politicians will pit survivor against survivor. And stop biting the little pool. Gosh, Malcolm-oo. Do you see my dog? She's already started to bite my pool. This is my pool. Shoot, stop biting on my pool. But so I just want to talk about that a little bit. And I went through that, in 2007, 8, 9. So it started with a dream. I had a dream that I was in downtown Portland, and I went around a building, and there was Richard Troy Gilmore, the jogger rapist, right in front of me. And it freaked me out. That dream couldn't go away, okay? And so I hadn't heard jack shit from the parole board or from anything about where Gilmore was or whatever. I knew that I was supposed to be being notified, because I think it was a couple of days before I was raped on December 5th, 1986. Another portion of the Victims' Rights Bill passed, where that meant that I could be notified as to where he is. I would be notified of parole hearings. I would be able to speak. Now, we'll talk about this another time for 3 minutes. That's what the going rate was for victims to speak at a parole hearing, was 3 minutes. But the criminal could speak for 4 to frickin' 5 hours or whatever, talking about their toolbox and all this shit. So anyways, that's another story. But, and so I went on, DOC or prisons. I typed in his name. The websites were all convoluted and, just really dumb. And so, but it wouldn't get out of my mind, this dream about seeing Gilmore again. So I was looking for him. I talked to my then husband. I've been married 3 times. So I told him, I said, I cannot find him anywhere. So he tried to look, couldn't find anything. So unbeknownst to me, he called my mom. And so my mom was like, I'll get to the bottom of it. I'll figure it out. Because this dream and this feeling would not leave me alone. I believe that God was just pressing it on me, making me act. Like, I had to get to the bottom of it. So my mom made probably about 12 calls. You know how that is, where you're trying to just talk to a human being, but you just keep going everywhere else. And on her final call, I don't remember her name right now, but it's in records. I could always bring it up. But she spoke to this victim's advocate, and she was kind at the parole board, and she said, "Miss Edens, this is so weird that you're calling today." My mom said, "Why?" "Well, because a week ago today, he had a parole hearing, and he's being released in 3 months." My mom said, "Bullshit, you did not contact my daughter." See, so we knew that I did have some rights, that I was supposed to be contacted. And so that ensued this great crusade of keeping Gilmore behind bars, because at the time, you know, during the other parole hearings that I never was notified about, you know, like, he couldn't even say the word rape. He said in one of them that it was a burglary gone wrong, that I surprised him, that we surprised one another in the dining room. And then, of course, he had to attack me and then rape me, but he couldn't say the word rape. So that ensued. And then, to circle back what I was talking about, you know, I didn't have any experience in the political world. I didn't have that experience. I just knew that I didn't want Gilmore getting out because he's dangerous. And it was stranger to stranger rape. He had raped 8 other women and young girls. And he was dangerous. I mean, this is not a normal person, okay? We were all blonde. We were all young. We were in our family homes. He would stalk us, watch us, just all this weirdo shit, right? I'm sorry, you know, and we can agree to disagree, but that kind of shit is not rehabilitated, okay? I don't care how many anger management classes you go to or whatever. There is something inside of people when they start hunting and stalking and hunting people in their private homes, and they cannot, the compulsion is that they have to do it. So anyways, that could be another conversation. So anyway, my family and I couldn't have done it without my dad, Ken, and without my mom, Becky, and my Aunt Jenny. I mean, I remember sitting at my Aunt Jenny's table with my mom, and we were going through all of this, and we were, you know, what are we going to do? And, like, we had to fight. And I made a conscious decision, but not an informed decision. And so we started this fight. And anyways, I know that Russ Ratto, the DA, he's awesome. He was the prosecutor during my case, and once my mom contacted the DA's office back then, Portland's a little different now. I don't like that DA in Portland, but anyways, but Russ Ratto came. I did 2 parole hearings. One was just for show. They were trying to just appease me and shut me down because we went to the media with all of this. And I sat, I'm not shitting you, 2 or 3 feet away from this man. I remember my mom was like, "I don't want him to look at you. I want you to wear a hijab. I want you to wear something over your head." And I'm like, I'm not going to wear nothing over my head. But, so we did that one. And, They still chose, like, we're right, we're the authority, we know what we're doing, and they were going to release him again. So then lawyers stepped in, and I had some of the best attorneys. I mean, Doug Ballou, oh my gosh, look him up. He was like, these guys are brainiacs, like, super brainiacs. Doug, gosh dang it, I forgot his name. He was a young guy with the DA's office at the time. And then, of course, Russ Ratto and Meg Garvin and just all these wonderful brainiac people behind this. And so we sued. We filed a lawsuit. And Judge Lipscomb in Salem, he was wonderful. He said, no, you didn't give her your rights. You didn't notify. You didn't do your due diligence. Doodly doodly doo. And so we had to do another parole hearing. And that was another weird deal. It was at OSP or one of those ones, one of the prisons. It was in the visitors section. But it was really bullshit because we get in there, right? And I'm nervous as heck. And they have the parole board, the 3 blind mice, sitting up these steps. Maybe it was like 1 or 2 or 3 steps, right? But they were above, like they're this judiciary, like we are going to look down, we are deciding this stuff. And guess where Gilmore was? Guess where they had him and his attorney seated? Right by them. Above me. Bullshit. So at that point, I was pretty boisterous and had a lot of confidence. And I said, what is this shit? And so I didn't like that. And so they made him, they took his table, the little table, and they brought him down to my level. Because I was like, no, you're not going to pull that psychological bullshit. You know, so anyways, but that hearing was 9 hours. 9 long hours. He got to speak for like 4 or 5, and then I spoke, and, you know, at that first hearing, the song and dance one, just to appease me, I remember Gilmore talked for 4 hours, and then it was my turn to talk, and I'll never forget Candace Wheeler. Hi, Candy. She said, well, you had 3 minutes, Miss Edens. I said, 3 minutes? I've got 23 years of my life to tell you about what this dude caused. Well, and this is what she did. Try to capsulate. I said, I'm going to speak as long as I want, because I have some things to say. So I did. But, so anyways, and I know that Russ had contacted some of the other victims, to come forward and, you know, to support me or to support, just get on board. And at the time I was so young and I was so prideful and I was so egotistical that some of them just couldn't do it, and it hurt me, you know, that hurt me, and I was angry at them for a while. But I didn't have the wisdom and what I have now of, like, sometimes that shit's hard to talk about and sometimes it's hard to face again. And so I was angry at my sisters for just not being there. But anyways, my sister Danielle, she didn't even, like, she shared with me now, like, she just wasn't even registering. Like, that was the past, and she'd moved on with her life and whatnot. And then she saw me in an interview, and I think it was Ava. He was like, you need to be there with her. And so she did. But I need to be honest, like, I was angry. I was angry about it, because I'd already felt like, you know, my family and I had done so much, right? And my family was imploding upon itself. My second husband and I were, like, we were on the ends. I was doing pills and total PTSD where I was, like, hallucinating, and I would have those night terrors where, like, you're, like, You're paralyzed, but you want to wake up. But you can't wake up. So I was a hot mess. And, but I was angry at them. And so, but I'm not anymore. I love Danielle. I love my sister Colleen, and I love all the sisters, and I love the one that committed suicide. You know, it's a sick connection, but it's a real connection. So anyways, so I was talking about the statute of limitations being done. So, you know, so in 2010, my life, I was full-blown pill popping. Just couldn't deal with shit. Didn't want to deal with shit. My family was like, we need to do more parole hearings. I was like, do you see that this is killing me now? And so I just lost my mind, lost my shit. And, but Danielle Tudor and Colin Kelly, not the person that I went to school with, but another one of Gilmore's victims, and Renee Smith, and the brother of the victim that was successful in suicide. So people started coming out and started carrying that torch of change and awareness and victims' rights. So, and I was gone. You know, I started shooting heroin, selling drugs, lost everything, abandoned my son, living in trap houses and stuff, you know, just doing some shit. I didn't even know who I was anymore. The Tiffany Edens that was before was no longer. And so, so Danielle continued, and Danielle was empowered by God to just dig in. They call her Tenacious D. And Sissy, if you watch this, I love you and I'm grateful for you. So she just jumped right in. She got into it. So in 2015 and 16, she approached legislation and was working really hard on a bill to raise statute of limitations. I think it was 3, 6, 12, 20. So probably at that time it was 6. And she wanted to go from 6 to 20. And I'm not going to say any names, but another survivor of sex crimes kind of did a little shady shit on my sister Danielle. And anyways, that's a reality. That's a reality. We're so egotistical and prideful, and we want to be this, and look at all the attention I'm getting. I mean, I was that way too. Back in 2007, 8, and 9, I was like, do you know who I am? I'm Tiffany Edens. You know, thinking I was hot shit. Frickin' A. I remember somebody, a Lifetime PR person in California, was like, we want to do a, thing about your life. But really, behind it all, I was doing pills, and I was out of my mind. So, anyway, so why I'm bringing that up is people will pit people against each other. Survivors will undermine other survivors. Politicians on either side will use... Mocha, knock it off! Sorry. Stop it. Politicians will use you. I know I was kind of used. I mean, I was a Wesleyan, in shape, blonde, could speak well, bliddly-doo, I was fierce, diddly-doo. And people capitalized on that. But then when I lost my mind and got a DUI from being on pills and shit, there was nobody. Except my attorney, Jim McIntyre. He's pretty badass. He was there for me. And I remember when he got the toxicology from the blood draw when I got arrested, he was like, what is going on? You're like a walking, talking pharmacy. What's going on, Tiff? And I was like, it's okay. I'm fine. Everything's going to be okay. So it was a long journey. It's been a long journey since 2007. I mean, it's been a long journey since 1986 when I was raped. But it's been a very long journey since 2007 to get to where I am now, to where I respect that other survivors have their own story. Danielle and I and Colleen and all the other ones, we're a little different. We're kind of intertwined. But we're stronger together. And we just need to remember that we're all stronger. Malka, would you knock it off, chick? Sorry. I can get gangster real fast. But that we need to be together. And, you know, when we start doing activism and using our voice and we're trying to gain money or fame, that's bullshit, right? Like, that should just happen organically. You know, I want to do a book, or me and Danielle, we're doing some little stuff, and talking to some great people, and I need to say that my sister Danielle, like, she's my mentor now. You know, like, she's teaching me all about this political legislation, how the bill does this, how the bill does that, you know, because I don't know that part. I don't know it. She did it. She is super smart, super intelligent, and I just love her. And, you know, she's been going at this, fighting for victims and whatnot for 15 years, right? So God might have used me to start it, which, you know, I remember in one conversation, Abba said to me, he said, isn't it enough that you were the spark to empower other people to have a voice? Isn't that enough? So I had to think about that. And, you know, humility and getting rid of your pride and your ego and selfishness and all that shit. It's a process. But I love my sister Danielle now. And I'm grateful that God saw fit to create a relationship together. You know, and I think that's, you know, where we're at now. Hopefully there will be a book or documentary or maybe a movie, you know, I don't know. But I wonder who would play me. I think there's only one me, but so there's a little bit about that, you know, that I was egotistical and prideful, and I was angry when my sisters came forward. I guess I was angry because they didn't come forward when I wanted them to. And then I was so used to getting all the attention too, because I was selfish and spoiled brat and all that shit. But I love them, and I had to figure out what was going on inside of me to figure that out. Abba had to break that shit down. And let's see here. So that was great that Oregon's statute of limitations on first degree sex crimes without DNA went from 12 to 20. That was just a while ago, so that's awesome. I'm really grateful. I'm an independent, so I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm independent because I like to do what I want to do. But it was really good that Senator Knopp was able to leverage some situations to have that bill be moved forward through the House, I believe it is, not through the Senate. See, I'm just learning. But all Democrats to, it was all unanimous yays. So that's pretty monumental. It's pretty big, and I just want to give kudos to Danielle Tudor. Like, she worked hard on that back in 2015 and 16 and kind of got betrayed and got shut down. And so that did happen, and God saw fit that it was supposed to happen. So that's just all that I've got today on that part of my story. I'm just going to start coming on here and talking. People can watch it. People don't have to watch it, but it's a way for me to think it out and have little clips so that it can be put together maybe someday in a story, a life story. So that's it. That's all I've got today. I don't really know how to interact quite a lot. Like I said, I don't have 150,000 followers. Or Malka, would you knock it off, chick? Look at this dog. But stop. You're so loud. Oh my goodness gracious. So, everybody, thank you for all your support. We can all agree to disagree. And that's all I've got. I hope you guys have a great day.